Okay. Are we ready?
I was born ready.
Welcome to the Immersive Lens, the podcast exploring the technologies reshaping how we live, work, and learn.
From AI and virtual reality to creative media and design, we are diving into the tools and ideas shaping our connected world.
My name is Paul Engin. Join us as we uncover the people and ideas driving the next wave of interactive experiences.
And I'm Dave Ghidiu. This is the Immersive Lens.
Hey, Dave, anything new in our studio? What's going on?
Oh, for everyone watching on YouTube. And by the way, I just saw a stat that 40% of podcasts are now video.
Yeah. It seems like everything was shifting to podcasts, and now it's podcast video casts.
It's a constantly changing landscape. But so if you're in the 60% that don't watch the video, you might want to hop over to see our new on-air neon sign. It'll be worth the switch, I assure you.
So what's going on with you, Dave? What's new?
I'm hot off the heels of the NAAIC conference, which was down in Miami-Dade College. And that's an organization for AI in kind of the workforce development. So, all the big players are there. So Google's there, Intel was there.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Really cool. So what'd you learn? Anything hot that's like we should know of? Or
yeah, just the number of resources, the sheer volume of free resources out there for upskilling and reskilling is just mind-boggling. And these are like made by high-end, like well-produced, high-produced learning opportunities. So Google has some in Coursera, Intel has some, like every company has them out there, and they're great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, maybe something we can talk about in the future too on some of the stuff you took out of there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'd love to. We can do a whole debrief.
That's awesome.
What about you, man?
Well, I actually wanted to, before we get into some additional hot takes, we did get another mail from a listener.
All right.
So
we're up to 2.
I know.
It's doubled. We're doubling our mail.
So I figured that we could read the questions, and this was a pretty long one. They had different parts to it, and then we could try to respond to it. Does that sound good?
Yeah, we need a theme song for like the mailbag portion of this show.
Okay. We'll have to look for
Open the mail. You've got mail.
Got a notification, a sweet sound I hear. You got mail. Oh, doubt fan mail is yeah. You got mail. Bringing joy to his big cheer. Yo, Dave and Paul, if you haven't heard, you got mail.
So these questions come from Chloe, and the first question is, with the new website builder code, Dave, you were talking about in a previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
Do we feel that, do you guys feel that it takes away from the skill set of current workforce who has the ability to raw code versus with an AI assistant? I guess that's the first part of the question.
Okay.
Should we answer that, or should I do the next part too?
Give us the next part and we'll see if they can stitch them together.
It makes me think of someone without much knowledge being able to develop sites because it is more accessible for them to curate websites, but in a company who will be the employee who's the expertise in this, if something doesn't work or goes wrong, what happens?
That's interesting, Chloe, and thanks for writing into our mailbag here at the Immersive Lens. I actually have a lot of thoughts about this. So as you know, we have a vibe coding course at the college that we're running for the first time this semester. And so we're kind of ironing out the kinks. And the one thing that I'm really afraid of is equipping people with knowledge that is above their capability. And I think Chloe's right. Like anyone can make a website now. And we've had tools along the way like Wix and Weebly and Google Sites that have helped people make websites. And so the skill set has transferred from, hey, where do you put the semicolon in JavaScript, or how does HTML plug in with CSS and JavaScript? The skill set has shifted to more UX and UI. So that's the interface and the experience that people have. And so in that respect, I'm happy that we have the tools to do that. But I think what Chloe's kind of like towing the line on is, or tiptoeing around is like, well, what happens when you have senior developers right now that are using AI?
Yeah.
And a lot of companies are like, hey, if you work for me and you don't use AI, like find another job.
Right.
Because you can be more productive. So what happens when those senior developers move on and you don't have a pipeline of junior developers who actually understand what's going on? And, and I liken it to a lot of planes are autopilot, But boy, oh boy, when that fails, you really want to have a pilot in the seat just in case. And so I think that we're starting to see this, and this isn't just in software development, but in many, many sectors where it's easy to say, oh, well, you don't need to know this because of AI. But when things go wrong or you need to maintain the software, well, yeah, you actually do need to know those skills. So I'm not sure what that line is. And actually, when I was at this conference, I was talking to a gentleman from OpenAI, and he was talking about how vibe coding is going to be kind of the future of coding.
Right.
And so I think the challenge there is distilling, like, what's the high altitude skills you need to have, let's say, for web development to succeed, even if you don't know HTML and CSS and JavaScript. What do you need to know? Oh, well, the file structures. Okay, well, yeah, you need to know how files work, and you need to know how links work, and you need to know how servers work. So maybe it's abstracted the skills we need, and we don't need to know the nitty gritty, but we still need to know the high altitude organization and the flow and what happens like under the hood.
Oh, I like that. So it's a great question, because that's what I always thought, like, in 5 years, let's say all the expertise leaves and someone is like doing vibe coding and they're sitting there hours and hours and hours. And then someone walks by and goes, oh, all you have to do is just rename that to
like index HTML or something. Yeah.
And they're like, we've been doing that, like, because they don't understand the fundamentals, that they just are executing vibe and just coding. But I love what you said. Maybe the thought process now for educators or whoever's learning is understand like folder structure and linking and how to move files from one location to another location. And so you're, like you said, you're not necessarily learning to write the full structure, but understand how they all work together so you can remedy some of those. Yeah,
like the components. And there's this famous meme. I don't know if it's famous, but it made me chuckle. And it was someone on, I don't know, like Twitter or one of those social media sites posted like, programming's for chumps. I don't know anything about programming. And look at this website. And he gives the URL and it's localhost 8080, which if you don't know, that's like, it only works on your computer. It's not published anywhere.
Yeah.
And so that's like a perfect example of like, yeah, you can make a great website, but if you don't know where to put it, what are you going to do?
And it's so common. I get students that give me file : /
C colon.
Yeah. And I'm like, guys, that's a local, that's like, I don't have access to your local system. It's like, and so it's those fundamental things that people don't, I think, might get lost. But to your point, maybe it's just something that we have to focus on when you're learning something new or when we're teaching someone.
And I spend a lot of time figuring out like, well, what are those essentials? And I don't know the answer to that yet, but I think we'll figure that out as a society.
All right. So the next part of her question was, and this was, the Apple accessibility campaign, do you remember that?
Yeah, I believe I said that ad really moved me. It was like 3 minutes and I was like, oh, it brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
In a good way.
And so she loves how it highlighted all the barriers, but one of the barriers that didn't seem to be highlighted was dyslexia or dyscalculia. Mm-hmm. Did I say that right?
Yep, and dysgraphia. There's 3 in that family.
And how those are not covered in coding spaces. And she wrote that, I know several people with dyslexia at my company, and the only accommodation that was offered was to put it in ChatGPT and have it spit back something that is correct as far as her grammar goes or her email. And she was wondering, is there something else that could be done to support this person? Or is there software that can be used to accommodate it? And I know you mentioned something. We actually talked about that in our episode, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of things, and my heart goes out to specifically people with dyslexia when they're coding, because your interface is no graphics, it's all text, and there's many different panes of text. You have file structure, then you have like your information, and then you have the actual code, and you have different tabs with the code in it. So it could be very challenging, I would imagine, for someone with dyslexia. And there's a few things. One is there's this new software that it just came out on Android today, even though Kurt from the college was telling me about it. It's been on iOS, called WhisperFlow, and it's a dictation software, but not strict dictation. It has AI intelligence, so you can talk into it, and when you're talking your thoughts, like your stream of consciousness, and you have your ums and your uhs and your stutters, before it turns it into text, it uses intelligence to make it into a coherent block of text. So I think that's a great way. That's great software for anyone. But the other thing is that and every computer has screen readers and can get stuff like that. But there is a font specifically for dyslexia, and that would certainly, I imagine, would help for people with dyslexia when they're coding or doing anything like on the computer.
Right.
It's called Dyslexie, and you can find it at dyslexiefont.com. That's DYSLEXIE font.com.
And I think there's also
Lexand.
Lexand, is that what it is?
Yeah, which comes stock in like Google Docs and Google Drive and stuff like that.
Okay, because there's also Open Dyslexic.
And Open Dyslexic. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 of them, and we'll put those all in the show notes.
Okay, yeah, and so I know I responded directly back to her about that, so she could start helping her employee anyway.
Awesome.
And it's a weird thing to think about because, many employers require accommodations, and some they can try to do, and we try to do accommodations on some of our computers to be bigger fonts or more higher contrast. But, it's interesting. It's actually a cool approach to put it through ChatGPT and try to get something grammatically correct if they're doing emails.
Sure.
But something simple as have them install this font might help overall with what they're reading, how they're reading it.
And I actually installed, there's a different font, we talked about it in the episode when we were talking about fonts called Atkinson, and that's like the default font I use right now. I love it more than Arial. It's just so much easier to read, so that's my default font. Okay.
So definitely different things you could do, and definitely something I think that we could explore more too on our end to see for a future accessibility,
always an interesting topic.
Yeah. There's always something new and something current. That Whisper sounds really good. I think that'd be really interesting.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I just went to the site, but I didn't click on, obviously we're in the middle of the recording, but it seems like a really cool concept and different than a straight dictation. So
yeah. And at the conference I was at, some of the people were saying, like, in the job interview, if we ask you if you're using dictation when you talk to AI instead of typing, if you're not using it verbally, we don't want to hire you. And I think that's the next frontier of AI. And I use it all the time now when I'm driving. I just talk to my AI. It's fantastic.
That is really cool. Yeah. I think that's something, it's interesting that I'm getting into more and more, having a conversation. Why don't we try this? Why don't we do this?
Yeah.
Actually, that's looking good, but why don't,
Yeah.
But yeah. So her last part of this question is, I know.
Who is this, Chloe? Let's get her in here. And she should be a host.
I know. She's got all these questions. She said, I know the environmental impacts of AI are extremely harmful. So is there ever a truly ethical way to consume AI?
Oh, man.
And
pass.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I just, all our devices are listening, but I went to LinkedIn and I saw a post about Sam Altman,
the founder of OpenAI and ChatGPT.
Yeah. And he was at a conference and he stated that people talk about how much energy it takes to train an AI model. And this is a quote from Sam Altman. So people talk about how much energy it takes to train an AI model, but it also takes a lot of energy to train a human. It takes like 20 years of life and all the food you eat during that time before you get smart. And he goes on to say, and this isn't a quote anymore because I'm not sure, but the context is it takes millions of years of evolution
to even get there.
And all this, all multiple people training that one person to be smart, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just an individual in a bubble doing it. And so his take on it is actually that entering a single prompt and asking a question of an AI is almost comparable or less than
the footprint
of you asking a 20-year. Oh my gosh.
20-year-old?
20-year. That doesn't sound right.
We haven't reached, we need more food to train so we can be smart.
20-year-old. The same question because of that footprint.
And
I don't know.
I mean, but I know this is kind of maybe a hot take, but like it's possible that AI, and we've seen this in the benchmark test, that AI is probably smarter than us in a lot of different domains. Like maybe not for you for what you excel in.
Well, apparently it's maybe saying 20 years old.
You didn't pass that test.
No.
But yeah, it's nice to have, and I have kind of mixed feelings about this. The ecological impact that AI has had, like I can't square that circle, and I don't know if AI is good or bad. I tend to think that it's good, but I liken it to plastics. And you and I were talking about this before the show started, but if you look around in an ambulance or a hospital, everything's made out of plastic, and it saves so many lives. But then you see like the flotillas in the ocean that are plastic, and you're like, oh, well, I don't know. And so like overall, I think plastics are probably better. They've saved a lot of lives. That's our measure of worth, but they've saved lives. So like, I don't particularly like plastics. I don't like seeing the plastic like 6-pack things around the seals or the birds or whatever we saw back in the 90s.
Right.
But it's there. And I don't like the convenience of plastic, but I love the life-saving measures of plastic.
Right. So there's like a give and take with it. Yeah. And I will say, I think, again, this is something we were talking about. I think the daily prompt of you just saying, how do you drink a cup of water with your opposite hand, and it gives you a prompt or something.
Do you need a prompt for that too? I'm really concerned about you now.
But just something obscure. It doesn't matter what it is. You could do the same search on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is generating the energy. I think the energy is really coming from training.
It is
all of this. And I think I agree with you. I think that these servers, I think when we're talking about, I've heard the conflicts of like they're bringing a server farm to a certain county, and they're like, oh, this will bring lots of jobs and everything, but it won't. It's going to be minimal amount of jobs.
You need
it's
3
just
people to
consuming tons of energy.
Yeah. And I mean, to your point, it takes, I think they've said roughly like if you run your microwave for a second and a half, that's about the energy for a consumption or that's generated for a prompt. Right. It's fairly insignificant, but you're right, it's the generation. But TikTok, like serving all those videos on TikTok and the doom scrolling, that it's worse than prompt generation. Yeah. And so I think that we do have to look at alternative measures and they are. I think they're looking at nuclear's got a resurgence.
Yeah. And so I think that there's avenues there, but the ethics of it, that's a great question. I don't know. I think using it is equivalent. If you're comfortable using YouTube or TikTok or getting online at all, I think the prompting is equivalent to that. So I don't feel people should feel bad about that. But at the same time, if you're worried about how it was created and you have concerns about that, I think that that's also a fair assumption that you should, if that's your belief and your stance. Yeah. But I think realize that I think there's a lot of things, how about gas cars, right? The miles per gallon when it started was dismal, but now we're getting more and more efficient with it. So I think there's an efficiency gain that will be happening.
There is. And I think Stan Altman also is kind of like mortgaging the future of the environment to some extent on. He's like, well, AI will be at a point soon where we can solve this energy crisis that we've created.
Right. And I will say, think about what happened with, was it DeepMind? When they made the LLM half the size because of an algorithm that they did.
Yeah.
And it just, it shook DeepSeek. I'm sorry, DeepSeek. Thank you. And it just changed the perspective of everything. So it was kind of like, oh my gosh, there's an efficiency there. To cut it that much is crazy.
There are some efficiencies. And when you were talking about DeepMind, I thought you were going to talk about in the 2024, the Nobel Prize for chemistry went to DeepMind for protein folding.
Oh, so you mentioned that. Yeah.
There's some good things about AI.
DeepSeek. I apologize. Everyone knows DeepSeek that I was talking about with the efficiency gain.
Yeah, they basically like doubled the token account or number, but so you lost a little bit in effectiveness, but gain a ton in training.
Yeah. So great. Well, Chloe, thank you very much.
Keep them coming.
Yeah.
No, don't. Those are hard questions.
Yeah.
Find another podcast, Chloe. No, I'm just kidding. We love those questions.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Another thing that I've been doing recently was looking at Meta Horizon World. It's the 3D virtual world from Meta.
So you need the Oculus.
You do, but actually, you know what they're doing is they're pivoting. So they're doing it so when you build it for there, it's also compatible with mobile and web.
Oh, so you don't need a 3D
VR set.
Oh.
So the reason why I love this is because think about it. I'll be able to design something for an immersive experience, but if you don't have one, you can still take part in the web or app.
Will it still be like 3D-ish or?
I think so.
Does it crunch it down to 2D?
No, it's still 3D.
Okay.
It's like but it'll be, you're just looking at it and you'll be moving the world with your hand.
So you as a developer don't have to develop it for 2 different platforms. You develop it for one and then the software will like convert it.
That's what it seems like. And again, I just started getting into it this weekend when I found out about it. But I thought that's really an area that would be really cool to explore for some of the things I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So, and then did you hear about Toy Story?
Toy Story, the movie franchise?
Yeah.
What about it?
Toy Story 5 trailer just hit.
Toy Story 5.
Yeah.
What's the trailer? Like, do you know the conceit of the movie?
Yeah, it's basically ironically, it's kind of what's happening now. It's technology and how all the kids are being consumed by technology and just looking at their devices versus
like
playing.
screen time.
Yeah, versus playing with actual toys.
That's so sad.
So and so you see, I think there was a clip of like all these kids on their devices and the toys are like, hey, play with us, and they're just like so enamored by their device.
Oh, that's heart wrenching.
Yeah.
Like poor Woody and Buzz and Bo Peep, like they're just gonna be discarded because of like
tech.
Oh.
Yeah. But
well, speaking of Toy Story 5, that reminds me, I encountered a story about Toy Story 2, which you have the poster in your office, so I know you've seen it.
Yeah.
And did you know that far into production, and this is back in the 90s, the 1900s, and back they were very close, and it was tons of computers and storage and hard drives and all that.
Oh yeah.
And 90% of the movie was deleted because someone like mistyped a command. Because back then you had to like type into the computer stuff like click and pointing for backup.
It was all command prompts, so you'd have to do like CD space, change it to
and so someone deleted almost the entire. They launched a command rm-r, which in Linux is like delete everything, and they lost 90% of the movie.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and by some like stroke of luck, there was a woman. She was a technical director, Galen Sussman. Mm-hmm. She was working from home on maternity leave, and she happened to have a backup. And she was the only one in the world that had it, and so she saved the movie. So working from home saved Toy Story 2.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't have been a Toy Story 2 without that.
They would have had to start
restart over again.
Yeah.
That leads to, I think our deep dive was tech failures. So
tech failures, yeah.
And to piggyback off that, can I tell you a tech failure that happened in a similar situation?
Yes, please. Wait, does it have to deal with like losing a recording?
Yes,
okay,
that's exactly what it is.
Tell me.
So, in my undergraduate, we had 2 graduate students developing a 3D animation, and similar to Toy Story 2, they're the expensive SGI machines, like
SGI?
Silicon graphic machines.
So it's like a special design dedicated or just
hardware.
Okay.
Yeah, and these are like $40,000-$60,000 machines at the time.
Whoa.
Right. These are like robust machines. Like nobody, like it was no normal human had one of these in their house.
Okay. How many were in this facility?
A whopping 3.
Okay. So that's like $180,000 worth of equipment.
Okay. And we had I'm going to geek out. You don't need to know it, but a Polyhemus 3D motion capture system rig. So we could put a suit on and we could do live tracking.
Oh, so like you could dance and then it'll be like a dinosaur or whatever dancing. Oh,
right.
Wow. You had that back in college?
Yeah. Well, they let us borrow it for testing and stuff. So the students were working and they were working on the project. They backed it up the first 2 months, and they kept going. And then 2 weeks, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know the exact date, before their thesis presentation, they were like, okay, because it takes forever to render back then. So
like days or weeks.
Yeah, so they figured that if they had 3 weeks, for instance, it would take 2 weeks of straight just rendering.
Oh my gosh!
So they started the render process and they left, and it just renders overnight. So it's just, you don't monitor it. I mean, you monitor it more, but you would just let it run overnight. And they came back the next day and everything was gone.
What do you mean gone?
So what ended up happening is one of the SGI machines overloaded with the renders, and it got so hot that it offshooted its work to the other machine, two machines.
So it knew that it was going to fail, so it sent the file somewhere else?
Right.
That's high tech.
And then it cooked.
It cooked the machine?
It cooked the machine.
Like it was a puddle?
It was burnt in the inside because it overheated. Oh. And then the other two machines, obviously, they both, because they got the workload, they both overheated.
No.
So all three machines completely fried.
So like gone? $180,000 of computers just gone?
Gone. And more so, I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But these students, they only had the first 2 months backed up of their year thesis.
Oh, so they only had 2 months out of like a year?
Yeah. So it was like, oh my gosh. So I tell the story to my students all the time. You gotta back up your work. They had to come back the next year and finish their thesis.
They lost a whole year of their lives?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, lessons learned. They were more efficient. The new software, new hardware.
Sure.
You know, I'm trying to put the positive spin on this.
Did the college let them use the expensive SGIs again?
Oh yeah. I mean, it wasn't their fault. It was just the SGI. You know, they should have something in there that detects before it overheats. But, again, this is just when technology was really coming to fruition. It wasn't like the 3D now. Everyone is like, people probably take it for granted, the technology we have. I can do 3D on a laptop.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't do that back in the early 90s, you know? But that also, it also taught me in a personal level. I had all my digital images and photos and videos on a drive.
Oh no.
And I lost it. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I completely lost everything. But luckily I was able to recover it. But after that day, I said, okay, I'm doing a backup system.
Oh, so you didn't lose a drive, like crash or whatever, but you were able to fix it?
I had to take it somewhere and they had to image the actual drive.
Yeah.
So my recommendation to everyone, get cloud backup. There's some affordable solutions up there, and just every night it just backs up, because you never think about it until it happens.
And then you're
when
like,
it happens,
oh, I knew better.
Yeah. And think about, I'm sure everybody has all of these photos and they don't think about this, but if your drive fails, it's just like, it's equivalent to all your photos getting into a fire.
Yeah. And I mean, being computer nerds, like I'm sure you have the same problem I have, and it's not a problem, but people come up to me all the time, like family and friends are like, my hard drive crashed. Like, these are all my baby pictures from the last like 10 years. What do I do?
Yeah.
And like most of the time you can recover them, but not all the time.
Not all the time. Yep. So my recommendation is look at cloud backups, everyone. You don't have to think about it. It just happens. And sure enough, it happened again for me a few years later.
But you had learned your lesson.
So all I did is send me my drive, and they sent me a new drive, just plugged it in, and I was ready to go.
Oh, yeah. That's living in the future, man.
Yeah. Do you have any tech failures?
Oh yeah, like a ton of them. Okay. I want to talk about since the Super Bowl has happened.
Yeah.
This isn't really a failure of technology as much as it is a failure of understanding where we live in a world of technology.
Yes.
But Amazon Ring, they had a commercial about, and the Ring is the doorbell with the cameras.
Yeah.
And it was a commercial about a dog was lost in a neighborhood, and they were able to find it because of this. And it came out, people were like, oh no, we live in a surveillance state. And it came out that Ring had partnered with Flock. And I don't know if you've heard of Flock. Mm-hmm. They do.
Can you explain it though? So,
yeah.
Because
it's kind of a police state type surveillance. So it really is. They started doing license plate scanning. So when cars drove by, they'd be like, oh, that car doesn't have a registration according to our databases. But it's really growing into a much bigger apparatus than that. And so Ring had partnered with a Flock. And so if you're just walking your dog or you're just walking in the neighborhood, you're being surveilled by Flock. And so there's a ton of pushback. And if you want to learn more about Flock, 404 Media, which is a fantastic news outlet, they're kind of like
404?
404. Do you know 404 Media?
Yeah, and there used to be a publication called 404 for hackers.
Yeah, that might be related.
Okay.
These people are like freedom fighters for the internet.
Okay,
and their research is absolutely fantastic. It's always like all their publications and all their research and deep investigations are kind of referenced by like a lot of the big news media. But they have a podcast. You should listen to it. They talk about Flock all the time. So like there was this big, huge roaring debate about Flock. And so many people were just appalled at Ring and partnering with Flock that Amazon had to sever ties with Flock.
You know, and it's funny because I remember seeing that commercial going, oh, how cool is that?
Right.
But then all of a sudden saying, hold on. So they have access to all the footage.
Yep.
And I think people realize, wait, I have some of these inside of my house. I have a feeling they care less about what's outside of their house, but some of these people have inside of their house, and to think it's accessible to anybody in that system.
Yeah,
technically,
and they're like, you can buy webcams for they're a dime a dozen now, but like they're not that as secure as people think. Some of them are, but most of them aren't.
And well, I think the big thing there is just to think that a company has access to all of these.
Yeah, like
at their fingertips.
Yeah, it's scary.
So that's interesting. In the same realm as that, that comfort of people. I was thinking, do you remember Google Glass?
Google Glass. Yeah, that was back 10 or 15 years ago, right?
Because they had just, it's like an eyewear and it had a little thing that stuck out in front of it. That so you could see digital displays on it.
Okay, so it was like if you were looking out, it was kind of like glasses, right?
Yeah.
And if you're looking out, like in the upper right hand corner of one of the lenses would have like
a display.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it also had a recording, so it had a camera, so you could always record. And there was such backlash.
Yeah.
Not because of the technology, but because of the social impact of it, of like privacy.
Yeah. Oh, so it kind of failed because the world. I mean, now every company has like the same exact product, right? It records. It's interesting. So they were ahead of their time, and I'm sure they're coming back now, right?
Actually, I don't know if Glass is coming back. Do you know if they're?
I have to imagine that they're doing something to compete with, like, because Apple, Meta,
everybody's
Snap,
doing these, right? But it's just interesting because we talk about this. It's like you think it's a great idea. Like the dog finding. And
like why wouldn't you want to find your dog?
Yeah, but then you think about, wait, if they can do that. And I remember with Google Glass, some bars didn't allow it. Like, think about it. And ironically, now it's more acceptable. I think people are just accepting the fact that. Yeah. But
I remember going to like Planet Fitness and they're like, you can't have a cell phone in a gym. In the bathroom. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But now people are like doing selfies and stuff and like all over the place. So it's like society has to kind of keep up with like but it is interesting to me that companies are still miscalibrating the sentiment of society.
Yeah. And I just want to bring up another thing that's similar to that is like at the time when Google Glass came out, I thought it was innovative. I really wanted a pair. Yeah. I thought it was a great idea, but society wasn't ready for it. And I don't know if you remember, Microsoft actually had a streaming video service called Web TV back in the day. I don't remember
that. Tell me about it.
So they were so ahead of their time that they bought a company called Web TV, and you could literally download television and commercials and videos and watch them. Now, they weren't user created, obviously. These were like broadcast. They were basically equivalent to like if you go to Hulu or ABC or NBC now, how you can see you can see the broadcast online. Web TV was offering something similar.
Do you know when this was?
It had to be maybe late 80s, maybe. No. Yeah. I mean,
whoa.
So the problem was, amazing idea, but it took hours and hours and hours because the bandwidth was not broadband yet. It was like really slow baud rates. So
like on the modem.
Yeah.
So it'd take like a day and a half to download like Jeopardy for that night.
Right. And so it just didn't make sense. But I think to myself, oh, how forward thinking was it? And if they just stuck with it, what could have become? But it was a failure because of the dependency of the Wi-Fi.
So like Microsoft Web TV died so that Netflix could live.
Right. And I don't know. And it just baffles me because I don't think, we would have a Netflix if we didn't have the internet speeds that we have now.
Yeah, and I guess I'm happy that we're talking about these failures, and the silver lining is that like Google Glass failed, but that technology is still around and it's better than ever. And maybe it's because of Google Glass. And the same thing with Web TV. Like someone was like, I have this fantastic idea, and it was fantastic, but it just wasn't. We weren't ready for prime time yet.
Right, and I think that Google Glass also moved from consumers when they got such backlash to manufacturing, because it was so good for manufacturing because people had free hands and they could work and get the instructions for. And
we're seeing that now. That's like the value proposition for augmented reality glasses.
Yes, absolutely. That's definitely one of them. So. How about another failure for you? Are you anything you can think of?
Yeah, this is just a real quick one, and I think this happened in the late 90s, that the Mars Climate Orbiter, which orbited Mars and was a climate kind of
calculator.
Well, it would just kind of like check out Mars and see what's happening. Okay. And it broke into pieces. It burned and broke into pieces, and in the aftermath they found out. So Lockheed Martin had been working on it with NASA.
Okay.
And Lockheed had been doing the calculations in feet, in yards, and inches, and NASA always does it in metric. And so there's just like a miscommunication about when it would be converted. And so that ultimately led to this. And it was, like under $200 million, but that's still like a huge failure that could have easily been avoided.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
You give me one now. What's another failure? This is fun.
So I'll do a failure that happened in the show.
All right.
And this is a usability failure, and I don't know in what test case, but
it sounds like you're shirking the blame.
I'm trying.
All right.
So when we first started the podcast, one of the many issues, and I'm sure you've heard clips of us saying, are we recording? Are we really recording? It's because we recorded this several times, and one of the times I set the GoPro. We use a GoPro video for the capture.
For the 40% of the people that are watching.
That's right. Okay. That's right. And so when I hit record, I walked back into my seat and I verbalized, and I don't know if I want to verbalize it because now I'm worried that it's on.
I'm anxious right now.
Okay, Jeff, can you confirm this is not on? So if I say this, it's not going to happen?
Correct.
Okay. So I walked back to my seat and I said, okay, Jeff, the video is recording.
You said the GoPro is recording.
Oh, the GoPro is recording. And when I said the GoPro is recording, we just kept going. And then we looked and we're like, wait, the light's not on. And then you said, you're like, is it voice activated? So we said, GoPro record. And it started recording. We're like, oh my gosh.
So it hadn't been recorded for the whole episode because you said start recording and it had heard stop recording.
Or just GoPro recording is what it probably heard.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was the second time we had recorded that episode because the first time there was a different issue, right?
Yes, there was a different issue. But Jeff, what say you on this?
I'm sorry.
Is it?
It's not your fault.
Or is it user error? Is it me? You could say it's me.
I mean, I think they could have been clearer on, what voice commands, were more specific, because I don't think what you said warranted it to stop recording.
I agree, because I should have said GoPro stop recording, not just GoPro recording. That shouldn't be like a Boolean, like it shouldn't go
like a toggle.
It should have been like clear, like this command starts recording, this command stops it. You didn't say either of those, in my opinion.
No, but so this is a cautionary tale. When I had the GoPro 2 and it didn't even have voice stuff, so I never even would have thought of that. And this is like, I don't know which GoPro this is, but
13.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But it's crazy to think it's a small thing that you don't think about, but that it, like you said, Jeff, I think it was a failure in the sense that it should be more direct.
Yeah.
And I know that this is not the use case for the voice activation. I'm sure it's just quickly going down a slope and going, GoPro record. But, I think that's...
That was a good cautionary tale.
And for the record, the camera's still running.
Okay, good.
Thank
Because
you.
I can't see the light's not blinking anymore. And I'm like, oh no.
We're using a different mechanism for recording, so...
I do have another cautionary tale. So, in a prior life, I worked at out in California. I worked at a bank. I worked at Washington Mutual, which no longer exists. It was the first bank to be seized in the housing crisis back in 2008. But this is almost a decade before that. And we did about $500 million a month in home loans. And when I got there, because I was kind of like an Excel nut, they were like, well, we don't really have software to track $500 million like every month. We just kind of do it in this Excel spreadsheet. And so I would every morning I'd key in all the loans and everything, and then I'd have some time. So I made kind of like what I would liken to as a database in Excel. So it was very fragile. Like it was definitely not the tool that I should have been using, but it was the only tool we had. But it would do charts and it would do graphs and it would make reporting very easily. And so my boss was like, oh, this is great. This is great. And when I was leaving, I was kind of training the next individual. And I said to her, I was like, listen, you can do first of all, this is a fragile ecosystem. Like we should not have built this in Excel, but it was the only tool we had. Second, there's one thing you cannot do. And I showed her, I was like, do not do this one thing. And she's like, okay, I won't ever do that thing. And that was on, I don't know, like on a Thursday. And I was leaving town on Friday to come back to the East Coast. And I was in my car Friday morning at like 9:30 and WAMU had opened at 9. And she called me, she's like, Dave, I did that one thing you told me not to do. And she wiped out the entire database.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
No backup.
No, and the lesson there is like, if you don't have fragility in your tech stack, like don't use Excel to do stuff that it shouldn't be meant for. And if you do, just for the love of God, just like back it up. Do you have one more?
Yeah. Why don't? So, do you remember Windows phones?
Yes. They came out for a hot minute, right?
They did. And I remember when we were doing app development, we were developing for Android, Windows, and iOS.
Okay.
And it was really interesting because I really liked it. We have one here. And it was, the reason why I liked it is because it was just equivalent to a Windows OS. And it was a great concept to think. And again, I think it's ahead of its time, but you could have just used this as a window system and just plugged a monitor into it, and you could have done all your Windows stuff.
And as I recall, that phone was also, unlike Android and iOS, it was person-centric as opposed to like app-centric. So if I had you in my contacts, I could click on Paul and bring up all our conversations, all the like projects we worked on together. So it was a really unique way to look at computing.
To approach it. Yeah. And I thought it was really innovative. Again, we still have one here, and I keep saying, what could I do with it? But that you can't upgrade. You can't do anything with it now. But it was I wish they would have stuck with it a little bit longer. But yeah. I don't know.
So the lesson there is, what is the lesson?
Well, I don't know if I think it's one of those things where I think a lot of these things, although they're lessons learned, are things that like they now have the ability to like hollow the
HoloLens?
The HoloLens. They had to port the OS into a smaller system. They had
so they had that knowledge of doing that.
Right. And I think they had a foldable device at one point too, that was like a tablet that, again, it's learning how to port into a smaller device, because the HoloLens had a full OS in it, just like the phone, which is
but
crazy.
It's not what they're used to. So they have this institutional knowledge of like ARM or Intel or whatever it needs to be, but now they have the challenge of, that's interesting. I'm glad that we've been able to like extract valuable lessons from all these things that have helped inform us. So like failure to me is the telemetry you get from failure really predicts, kind of like informs what you're going to do next. And you've learned, like, it might be the best form of learning.
Right. And I agree. I think it's one of those things where you can look at it as a negative, or you can look at it as okay, now that this happened, how do I fix it for the future? And you become a better person or a better product or a better device or a better service. So I think it's learning opportunities if you take advantage of what happened and learn from it, right?
And sometimes it takes like 10 or 15 years, like the Google Glass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think that's societal too. I think that the innovation is there and society needs to catch up sometimes. Apple does this all the time. They'll remove a port and everyone's like, you remove the
headphone jack. I remember that.
What about the 1/4-inch drive? They were the first to remove the 1/4-inch drive, the disc that you used to put into computers.
Oh,
they removed it.
The 3.5. Yeah.
And everyone was like, how are we going to transfer?
And the CDs. They did the same thing with the CDs and the DVDs.
But in their heads, they're thinking everyone will be on USB. Everyone will be online. Everyone will. So there's this thought like you have to be progressive enough to push, but not understand that there's limits.
Yeah, and Apple really has been kind of like, they're such a powerhouse. They can take away every port and people will complain, but this is life. Like, everyone's on Apple.
Right. Well, I think that was great. We'll probably get into more failures in the future in another episode, and we'll probably experience some of our own. But that's all the time we have for today. I'm Paul Engin.
And I'm Dave Ghidiu. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe and like and love so you never miss an episode. Let's be careful out there, folks.
And share it with a friend or a colleague. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and thanks for looking through the Immersive Lens with us.
This episode was engineered by Jeff Kidd and possibly Hugh Laird. I thought I saw him.
Yeah, I think he was there. Half Hugh.
Half Hugh.
Recorded at Finger Lakes Community College Podcast Studios, located in beautiful Canandaigua, New York, in the heart of the Finger Lakes region, offering more than 55 degrees, certificates, micro-credentials, and workforce training programs.
Thank you to Public Relations and Communications, Marketing, and the FLX AI Hub.
All right, let's see if I can get my W's right here.
Do it.
Eager to delve into a passion? Discover exciting and immersive opportunities at www.flcc.edu.
See, you learned from failure last time.
See, exactly.
As part of our mission at FLCC, we are committed to making education accessible, innovative, and aligned with the needs of both students and employers.
The views expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official position of Finger Lakes Community College.
Music by Den from Pixabay.
This is the Immersive Lens.
That was a nice one.
That was wet.
That was something.
They heated up the seat.